Hey, Tim Edwards here calling in from my home office here in Dallas, Texas. I have a short video for you here on the industry of network marketing. And I want to tell you a quick story about how a quiet guy with no sales background, with no big list, somebody who couldn't get up and talk in front of people, literally went from the worst network marketer on the planet to worst to first. So in other words, I was in a company that had almost 1 million reps at one point, and even though I had no skills in that business, I built the #1 sponsoring team worldwide, and they had 1 million reps in 50 countries. So that's something you can't really do by accident. So I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that, and if you have some negativity or doubt about the industry, hold that, park that for a second, and listen how I did something. And I'm going to tell you some things that you've probably never heard, but it's very systematic and it's very cool. So, first off, have you ever felt stuck? If you've ever done the business, if you felt stuck or overwhelmed where it seems like nothing seems to work, you think you're doing everything that people have told you to do, but it's just not working, and you can't get any answers as to why it's not working. I know how frustrating that is, because that's how it led me to build this type of system, because I would go to people and ask them about what are the steps, what's the strategy, where's the business plan, where's the data? Because I'm a business guy. They looked at me like I had 3 heads. They just said, just keep going, you're right around the corner from a breakthrough, just keep doing the same things, you're going to get this. And I can tell you, by not being able to get answers and not being able to figure out what I was doing wrong, I just got less and less and less excited, and my confidence and self-esteem was completely shot. It just completely took me to my knees. So as I said, what you're about to hear is something that is very unique, and I don't know anyone else who teaches what I teach at the level and in the detail that I do, okay? So first off, let's talk about the step-by-step approach that I use to create a top leader machine. First thing, real quickly, is you're talking about people joining a business that have worked for other people. Most of them have worked for corporations. They've been told what to do, when to be there, all that stuff. So they're not used to really structuring their own time. So the first thing you want to do is get people super organized, prioritized, and teach them what the income producing activities will be. All right, now prospecting obviously is the #1 thing. You've got posting if you're doing on social media. And of course, when people respond, you've got to connect with those people and disseminate some information. Those are the 3 things that you really want to teach people. And you want to teach people to do 80% of your time in the beginning of those 3 income producing activities. Okay, and then so what you want to do is schedule your day, prioritize the income producing activities first, block out that time, knock out those income producing activities first. The number of people that you agree to approach or commit to approach should be in there as a goal, whether that's 5 a day, 10 a day, whatever. So scheduled, prioritized first, and talk to X number of people or disseminate that much information out every day, and then see and post and see who gets intrigued and wants more info. Everything else comes later, and if you don't get the other stuff done, it's not critical. But if you don't get those 3 things done, you're dead, okay? Next, I taught identifying limiting beliefs. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to quickly write down on a score of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute belief, 1 being no belief, how you score yourself with your company. What's your score on a 1 to 10? What's your belief in your company? On your products, on a 1 to 10, what's your score? On the system that you use, in other words, what you're being taught and the outcome, the financial outcome of that, is it producing what you want? On a 1 to 10, how do you score that? Next one is self. On yourself becoming a top leader, what do you believe in yourself on a 1 to 10? And last, other people. This is sort of a trust thing. When you're talking about other people, you have to be the kind of person that says, I'm going to trust people until they show me otherwise, because you have to believe in people and connect with people until they believe in themselves. So it's really important to have that trust. If you're the type where people have to prove to you that they're worthy before you really connect and go all in with them, that's going to be an issue. And just know I have a process that I teach my clients on exactly how to get every single one of these categories to a 10 so you can crush it. Okay, that's what you need. Next, goals and visualizations, real quick. Attainable goals are key, and those have to be daily goals. So what you want to do is I have a document that has it's called a visualization document, and what I teach people is to take those income producing activities we just spoke about and any limiting beliefs that you have and put those into a document that has your daily goals, reach outs, what those are going to produce, and so forth. And you're supposed to read this just like you read goals every single day to manifest this perfect outcome. Income producing activities, doing them at a certain level, what to say, how many times to do it, little incremental goals, making sure you're staying away from the negative self-talk. So this is something that you want to put into place every single day. And I can tell you, if you do that, I've got a process I use where I have a template where all you have to do is plug in the time you wake up, the time you're going to start your network marketing day, how many people you're going to speak to, and so forth. And the wording is already put there so you can manifest exactly the day that you want to have, so that when you put those days back to back to back, over time, you end up with everything that you may have on your dream board or your dream goals, which should be sort of in your peripheral vision. But your real focus should be those daily goals, visualizing, locking in the mindset, and then going out and attacking your day. All right, now the backbone of the business obviously is prospecting. If your mouth isn't open, your business is closed. Okay, now I first started talking to people about products like everybody else, because that's what I was told to do. I found, because I was with an older company. If you're with a brand new company, it's a little bit easier, but at some point, every company gets over promoted, and it gets to where too many people have heard about those products or that company, and that starts to not work. There's a shelf life on leading like that, okay, for the average person. So I did that and couldn't get people to look. I flipped that around, and I knew that if I could get people curious about something, they would ask for information, which puts you in a much stronger position, a position of authority. So instead of approaching people about, hey, I got this product, I've got this business, I've got this company, I got this new home-based business, whatever, that's when people do this. They get back on their heels, and it's very difficult to get people interested because they have a force field up because they realize you're going to try to sell them something. But if you do what I call a third-party takeaway, where, hey, you probably love what you do, so this is not for you, and then you have something that's written professionally that has a little sizzle to it without mentioning your product or your company name, so it intrigues people, sounds significant, and then you ask for referrals. Who do you know that would be a good candidate for something like that might have an exit strategy in the next 2 to 3 years financially? Who comes to mind that I could chat with and give them a little bit of information after? So you're creating curiosity, and what's cool about this approach is there's really zero rejection. When you go at people, I wouldn't do those things, I wouldn't be interested, I can't believe that you'd approach me, or that sounds like one of those schemes or things, But if you have something that doesn't have the stock MLM verbiage in it, and it intrigues people, the worst thing that happens is people say, well, I don't know anybody right now, Tim. Or they say, well, I've got a brother-in-law that just got laid off, why don't you call him? But what happens, and what one of the goals is, which is really cool, is by that curiosity approach, is they're intrigued. Well, that sounds interesting. What do you have? So you actually get people to perk up, and when they ask you for information, they're not on their heels, they don't have the force field up. It's a completely different outcome because nobody wants to be sold, but everybody's curious, and if they like what they see, they want to be helped. Okay, so that's a little different approach. Now, here's something that's a little controversial, but I can tell you, if you go out and ask the top 100 earners in the business, people that have made multiple 7 figures or more, most of them will lead with their business first and follow that with products to the people that aren't interested in the business, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a little analogy real quick, and I'm going to go to the next step, but I want you to get this. If I were Ray Kroc, the owner of McDonald's, and I offered you 2 jobs, you could pick one. The first one was you could have a cash register assigned to you, and you could stand there all day long and sell burgers, and you could take a cut of those burgers, okay? And the second job is I could teach you to sell franchises, and you get a cut of the entire franchise every time you sell one. Which one would you pick? Everybody picks the franchise. You know why? Because it has a lot more leverage. When you can sell 10 franchises that employ 500 people and serve 50,000 people, and you get a cut of everything, that's significant. If you stand at a cash register all day long, you will exhaust yourself selling burgers, taking this little bitty profit. So here's what you need to understand. Just marketing products over and over and over is like selling burgers. There's no leverage in that. Okay, you can create 100 customers today. A year from now, you have less than 100 customers. and you keep having to refill that bucket or replenish that customer base, and there's no multiplication or leverage factor there. But when you're selling franchises, that's like developing a sales organization where 10 people get 10 people get 10 people. At some point, right, you have thousands of people who all have customers. So just know that's why most top leaders, big 7-figure, multiple 7-figure earners, lead with their business first and follow up with a product if they're not interested in the business, okay? Now, once I intrigue people, or you intrigue people with this curiosity approach, and your goal is to get a little bit of leverage on people. So, meaning mental leverage, so that they will want the next step, which is another form of curiosity, right? So, if I asked you a couple things, like, tell me where you're from first, and what you do for a living, and then I said to you something simple, like, if you had a couple things you didn't like about what you do, what would they be? So what I'm looking for there is, do you have any pain driving you to make a change, to where you're motivated to follow through? I want to understand what motivates you to do something different. If you don't have anything that motivates you to do something different, I know from experience, you're not a great prospect. All right, but if you have something driving you, if you hate your commute, if you got an ungrateful boss, when you drop off your kids at daycare, if you both cry, if you struggle month to month and you don't get to travel, and your husband or your wife is working themselves to death, and your parents need help, and you have no college fund or retirement fund, if I find those things out, do you understand the leverage that I have, that you now say, I really want to solve these things, and I'm curious as to how you might be able to help me? That's leverage, so that if I then offer you a few videos to watch, or invite you into a group that shows the videos that talk about exactly what we do and how we do it, to see if that's a good fit, and then I tell you that we're going to do a plan for you once you decide to do this. Now I have leverage to where you want to go watch those videos or get in that group and check that information out, because I've established a need and I'm here to help you versus selling you. You get that? See how that's different? So that's how you want to build your business. And what's cool about that too is that when you're just connecting with people and letting videos do the presentations, you can duplicate that forever. Because when you or your team is talking about specific products, those products at some point are going to run their course, and then those are not going to be the hot products anymore. Your company's going to come out with other things, and guess what you have to do then? You have to relearn what you're doing over and over and over and over and over and over, right? So your team is doing this. It works for a while, then it levels off, then it starts to drop off, then they launch something, then you get confused, you have to get retrained, and so it's like this, imagine being able to get good at connecting with people and finding out what really makes them tick and showing them how you can help, and letting videos duplicate that information. So you just plug and play new videos that the company puts out based on what the new pitch is, what the new products are, what the new countries are. See how that works? You never have to retrain people, and you can stay in growth forever, and everybody gets really, really, really good instead of doing this and having to be retrained, okay? Now, last thing is this. You have to have data. Every business runs on data, okay? If you don't know what your people are doing, how many times they're doing it, and how well they're doing it, how do you plan to coach them to get better? You just keep going, you're right around the corner from a breakthrough. That doesn't help. That gets old. People want answers. Okay? So, you need to know how much time they spend on their mindset. How many people do they approach each day? If they're doing those two things well, then people should be interested. If people aren't interested, their mindset's either bad or their approach is bad. So, are they following the system? Are they working on their mindset with their visualizations? Find that out. If those two things are great and people are showing up here but nobody's enrolling, then how are they connecting with people? Are they really finding out what makes them tick and where their pain is, and getting a little bit of leverage so that people actually go into the group or watch the videos? So you can actually listen to people do those short calls, before they invite them into the group, and you can find out why they may not be connecting with people. Now, once they do that, there should be enrollments. You should have an outcome that you can actually see things growing. You also want to know, are they reporting their numbers and being accountable? There needs to be a place for that. You also need to know, are they plugging into trainings and staying plugged into your team's systematic approach weekly to train, whether it's events, Zoom calls, conference calls, the once a year convention. People have to stay plugged in. So if you have that data, You know if people are working on their mindset, how many people they approach, how many times, how well it works, where to coach. And also, guess what? When you see this data, you know who to work with. Because if they're not doing their due, you don't spend time with them, right? You wish them the best, you still love them, they just kind of go off the radar. You're there when they're ready to engage. But it shows you who your up and coming stars are so you can lock onto those people and develop those people. Get it? Okay. So, in closing, your mindset must be strong. Daily visualizations are key to manifest that outcome and eliminate that self-sabotage. Right? You stay on top of all that by doing your visualizations. You need that structured with a template. If you don't have that, I can help. You need a proven approach with scripts that create curiosity, that intrigue people to ask for information so they don't feel sold. And then you need to be able to connect with them and find out why they're there and give them data or information in the form of videos that's easy to duplicate to sift for who's going to do the deal. And then, of course, lastly, as I said in the recap, accountability. Got to be accountable, got to see what people are doing, or you can't coach them. All right? So, if you want a ton of great content and you don't know who I am, follow me on Facebook. Look up Tim Edwards. I've got two series of videos each week. One's called The Scoop, which is a more thorough training each week on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Central. And I've also got usually several videos a week called The Situation Room that are short 5-minute videos full of nuggets to give you that impact mentally, to give you some things you can go out and apply on a regular basis. So I appreciate your time. If you're overwhelmed, shoot me a private message. If you want some strategies or some complimentary advice, love to chat with you and show you how to go to that next level. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.